It's fairly important water is placed in the right places. We're at Kia Ora station. We're 72 k's southwest of Cobar. It's 17,800 hectares and we're predominantly grazing. Watering points we have on a property are all ground tanks. We've got 2 solar pumps. They pump to where we can't get water off those ground tanks. All our ground tanks are all trapped except for probably 2, so I think there's 11 trap yards we've got on the place. And then solar pumps go to troughs and tanks and they're in trap yards too. That's just given us a lot more graze-ability of the property, so we're not forcing them into certain areas just to drink and flog it out. We can move them. The stock can't access that water when we don't want them to be there or grazing, and plus help us move them. So if we've got them trapped, we can go and shut the waters up. The stock will come there for a drink. We can gather them up or trap them into there and gather them up and move them to the next paddock, and we leave that water trapped or closed up so nothing can get real access to it. Pigs are our biggest problem because they will push in or whatever to get into the water, but it'll keep kangaroos out, your goats out, our own domestic stock out. So that's what we've done to control those water points. And probably another thing we've got to do is start putting some more water points in with tanks and troughs so we can just ease grazing pressure in certain areas. Hopefully benefiting the country and our soils. It's making our management a lot easier of our own domestic stock. It's a lot better to be controlling your waters and that so we can control the whole environment around us. By controlling those watering points, we're taking that pressure off that area or in that paddock, nearly like having fencing. If you shut the water down, whatever drinks there can't drink. So they've either got to move or you've got to go and physically move them somewhere else to another paddock. Ground cover is really important in wherever you are in Australia because it stops like wind erosion, water erosion, and if we get the ground cover there, it holds that moisture. And a lot of our native grasses are very good at storing their own water. And also they start building up their carbons in the soil, so your soil becomes more viable and more productive. When I was grading along fence lines the other day there, you're hitting patches of grass. And we haven't had rain for 14 weeks, but I was hitting patches of grass, there was moisture under it. As soon as I got out where it was bare, or not much ground cover, there was no moisture there, so ground cover is very important. Your stock tell you a lot too. If they're starting to sort of walk around and they're sort of scattered all over the whole paddock and not sort of in a mob grazing, you start to think for starters there's something, you know, they're running out of feed or they're not happy in there. So the stock can teach you a lot, but yeah, you just got to go out, and if it's looking bare, you say, well, I've done something wrong. I just monitor and think when it's, you know, there's still a good coverage of grass there, move them on. Yeah, total grazing pressure. I think one thing if you've got a property and you're thinking of dividing it up into more paddocks or into watering points, and you've got to do some new infrastructure, you want to sit down on paper with your maps and you want to really work out where your fences are going to go so it minimises a lot of costs in the long run of having to shift water to different points. Plan it out well first before you just go and do it. When we come here, I think I had about maximum of 5 paddocks. Some of them are around 20,000 acres. And now we've subdivided up mainly with electric fencing, and I've got 24 paddocks, and they're roughly an average of 2,000 acres a paddock. So it's made our controlling and moving our stock around that much easier. The electric fencing has been really good for total grazing pressure to just get it up and running. I never really liked electric fencing because I don't like getting electric shocks. So that's really the question. If I don't like getting shocks, the stock aren't going to like it. So, and it's cheaper. This fence here, you're looking at nearly $3,000 a K, whereas the electric fence is around 500 a K. So you can subdivide your paddocks up a lot cheaper and a lot more of them through electric fencing, and it's a lot easier. The quicker you can get it done, the better, but it all comes down to that cash. But I just suggest to start to do areas that you can afford to do for starters. We decided to do the boundary straight up. Instead of doing internal fencing, we just said do the boundary. I think there's a lot of benefits in the time frame. The quicker you can get it done, the better it's going to work for you. The results are just, yeah, they're just blown us away, really, what we've seen. And the other results are, we do know how stock aren't going bush onto other neighbours' properties, what happens up here on normal wire. You know, what we've got here stays here. So that's a good result too. It's all a plus, well and truly. So I really do recommend it. I just can't believe why a lot more people aren't taking it on board. Just the benefits are well out there.